Most men over 60 have no idea that the way they're drinking water, yes, plain old water, could be the silent reason behind their fading erections, low energy, and declining testosterone. It sounds surprising, I know. How could something so fundamental be responsible for something so serious? But after decades of scientific research into how the body heals itself, and after working with thousands of men, I can tell you with full confidence, the problem isn't always your age. It's your habits. And one of the most overlooked habits is how and when you drink water. I'm Dr. William Lee, a physician, scientist, and author who has spent decades studying how the body's own defense systems, including blood vessel health, the immune system, and cellular repair, can be activated or suppressed by the everyday choices we make. I've worked alongside men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who came to me feeling frustrated, defeated, and convinced their best years were behind them. But time and again, I've seen how a few strategic changes, like the way they hydrate, can reignite their energy, performance, and confidence in ways they never thought were possible at their age. What if I told you that even mild dehydration can thicken your blood, impair your blood vessels, suppress testosterone, and trigger stress hormones, all of which make it harder to get and maintain an erection? And what if the solution wasn't found in a prescription bottle, but in a glass of water used the right way? In today's video, I'll reveal 8 powerful science-backed secrets about water and erections that older men wish they had learned decades ago. These are the same principles I share with men all over the world. And near the end, I'll share a little-known morning trick that takes just 7 seconds and works hand in hand with proper hydration to boost blood flow and bedroom performance. Keep watching, because this might be the most important video you see all year. Before we begin, if you're serious about improving your health and reclaiming your confidence, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss practical science-backed advice made specifically for men over 60. And if this video resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 so I know how to better serve you next time. All right, let's get straight to it. The first thing we need to talk about is blood flow, because without it, there is no erection. And what most men don't realize is that blood itself is mostly water. That means if you're even slightly dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker, slower, and harder to circulate. And when blood can't flow freely, especially to the areas that matter most, your ability to get and stay firm takes a direct hit. 1. Water is blood's best friend. A&D erections depend on blood. Let me tell you something I've learned after decades of studying how blood vessels function and how the human body repairs itself. The number one complaint I hear from men isn't always about testosterone or libido. It's this, Doc, it's just not working like it used to. And 9 times out of 10, before we look at hormones or medications, I ask them one question. How much water are you actually drinking? Most men laugh it off. They say, I drink coffee in the morning, maybe some soda with lunch. But water? Hardly. And yet the truth is, your erection is a vascular event. It's entirely about blood vessel function and pressure. It requires blood to rush into the penis, fill the chambers, and stay there. But if your blood is too thick, too sluggish, or your vessels are too constricted to move it properly, that pressure never builds. You may feel the desire, but physically your body can't rise to the occasion. Blood is over 90% water. So when you're not properly hydrated, even just a little, your blood becomes sluggish. Your heart has to work harder to circulate it. That means less oxygen, less nutrient delivery, and yes, less blood flow to your penis. And that's not just my clinical observation. That's fundamental human physiology rooted in vascular science. One of my patients, Jim, a 68-year-old former coach, came to me with his head down and said, "Doc, it's not working anymore. I think I'm just too old." He had accepted it as his new normal. But when I reviewed his lifestyle, he was doing nearly everything right, except drinking water. No major illnesses, no medications, just chronic dehydration. I asked him to commit to one small change, sipping water throughout the day, consistently and with intention. No chugging, no icy bottles, just slow, steady hydration. 2 weeks later, he came back grinning. "I don't know what changed," he said, "but something's working again." And the only change he made was how he drank water. That is the power of proper hydration. It thins your blood, improves circulation, and supports every vascular mechanism your body depends on for performance. And it doesn't take much, just consistency. Most men don't realize that even mild dehydration can reduce blood volume enough to make a measurable difference. You don't feel thirsty, but your body is already slowing down. Your erection strength weakens, your recovery time increases, and your confidence slips away quietly, slowly over time. But here's what makes this even more significant. Your blood doesn't just carry oxygen. It also delivers hormones. Testosterone, nitric oxide, and essential nutrients all travel through your bloodstream to reach where they're needed most. If that system isn't flowing smoothly, nothing works the way it should. So the next time you feel like your body is letting you down, don't jump straight to conclusions about aging. Ask yourself first, am I hydrated enough for my blood vessels to do their job? Now, that's just the beginning. Because even if you're drinking enough water, there's something else that could be sabotaging your performance from the inside, and it's even more dangerous than poor circulation. It has to do with a hormone every man needs, and what happens to it when your body shifts into survival mode. Let's talk about that next. 2. Dehydration silently lowers testosterone. I remember speaking with a man named Walter. He was 72 years old, recently widowed, still living independently. Sharp mind, clear eyes, but his energy was fading. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I don't feel sick. I just don't feel like myself anymore." There wasn't a crisis, no obvious medical emergency, but something inside him had gone dim, and he didn't know why. We talked. He wasn't on any major medications. He exercised a little, ate reasonably well, and wasn't depressed, but he felt flat, low drive, no motivation, and no real interest in intimacy. And behind all of that was a quiet fear. Am I just done? I ran his labs. His testosterone levels were lower than optimal. Not alarmingly low, but enough to explain why he felt off. When I asked about his daily water intake, he admitted, almost like a confession, probably not much, to be honest. And there it was. Most men don't realize that dehydration does far more than make you tired or thirsty. It throws your entire biological system into survival mode. Your body starts conserving energy, protecting vital organs, regulating temperature, and maintaining blood pressure. And anything not essential for immediate survival, reproduction, libido, muscle building, and testosterone production gets deprioritized by your own biology. Testosterone isn't just about sex. It's about drive, strength, and identity. It's the biological fire that makes you feel alive. But when your body senses a lack of water, it suppresses that system to preserve itself. And the more chronically dehydrated you are over time, the more that hormonal imbalance becomes your new baseline. But that's not all. There's another enemy that dehydration brings with it, cortisol. That's your primary stress hormone. When you're dehydrated, cortisol levels rise. And here's the critical problem. Cortisol and testosterone are biological adversaries. When cortisol rises, testosterone falls. It's like a seesaw, and most men over 60 are unknowingly stuck on the wrong side of it every single day. Back to Walter. We didn't put him on testosterone shots or hormone replacement therapy. Instead, I gave him something far simpler, a structured hydration routine. He started drinking water first thing in the morning, kept the bottle nearby throughout the day, took small, consistent sips instead of waiting until he was thirsty, avoided caffeine in the afternoon, stayed away from alcohol before bed, and began listening to his body's signals. 4 weeks later, he walked back into my office with a visible spring in his step. "Doc," he said, "I feel awake again. I'm laughing more. I'm even interested in dating." That spark was back. And all it took was giving his body the one thing it had been silently asking for all along: water. The truth is, many older men aren't suffering from hormone failure. They're suffering from long-term dehydration, and no one ever told them. But even if you're drinking water every day, there's still something most men get completely wrong. And it's not about how much, it's about how. This one mistake could be the reason your body still isn't responding the way you want it to. Let me show you what it is. 3. Most men drink water the wrong way. When I first started telling men that how they drink water affects their erections, most were skeptical. I'll never forget Mike, a retired truck driver in his late 60s. Big guy, no-nonsense type. He looked at me and said, "Doc, it's water. What am I supposed to do, run a science experiment on it?" I smiled and said, "Actually, in a sense, yes, but it's simpler than you think. That's where most men go wrong. They think drinking water is as simple as chugging a bottle when they feel thirsty. But the science is clear. By the time you feel thirsty, your body is already dehydrated. And when you drink a large amount all at once, especially ice-cold water, your body cannot absorb it properly. Instead of hydrating your cells, that water moves through your system too quickly, overwhelming your kidneys and flushing out valuable electrolytes and minerals. It's like flooding a parched garden with a fire hose. The water doesn't soak in, it just runs off. Your body prefers consistency. It wants small, steady sips of water throughout the day. That's how it maintains blood volume, keeps the nervous system balanced, and supports hormonal stability. Even the position you're in matters. Drinking while seated, rather than standing or moving, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode, which supports proper cellular absorption. And here's something most men have never been told. Allowing water to briefly mix with your saliva before swallowing helps initiate your body's processing response. It's a simple habit supported by both ancient practice and modern physiology. Mike was skeptical, but he agreed to try. He stopped chugging cold water from the fridge and began sipping room temperature water slowly throughout the day. He sat down when he drank and started paying attention to when his body actually needed hydration, rather than waiting until he felt parched. Within 3 weeks, he called my office. "Doc," he said, "I don't know what science this is, but I feel stronger, not just in bed, but overall. That's not mystery. That's physiology." When you respect how your body wants to receive water, it rewards you with better circulation, steadier energy, sharper focus, and yes, stronger erections. It's not about drinking more, it's about drinking smarter. Most older men were never taught this. They assume hydration is purely a quantity game, but quality, how you hydrate, makes all the difference. Think of your body as a precision biological system. You wouldn't flood it with fuel all at once and expect it to perform efficiently. You'd supply it steadily, carefully, and consistently. Your biology works the same way. And here's the catch. Even if you're drinking water correctly, there's a good chance you're doing things throughout the day that cancel out all your hard work. Little habits that seem harmless, but are quietly pulling water out of your system and working against your progress. Let's look at those next. 4. Hidden habits that cancel out proper hydration. There's nothing more frustrating than doing the right thing and not seeing the results. I see this constantly. Men who commit to drinking more water, change their habits, and genuinely try to take care of themselves, only to return weeks later saying, "Doc, I feel a little better, but not what I expected." That's exactly what happened with Harold, a 74-year-old retired pilot who followed my hydration advice down to the letter. He sipped slowly, avoided cold water, drank while seated. He did everything I recommended. But when he came back for his follow-up visit, he looked puzzled. "Doc, I was hoping for more." So we took a closer look at his full daily routine. What we found were small, everyday choices that appeared harmless, but were actively working against him. Like many men, Harold started his morning with strong coffee. Later in the day, he'd enjoy a glass of wine with dinner. After some fruit, an orange or watermelon, he'd wash it all down with a big glass of water. None of it seemed problematic until we examined it through a physiological lens. Caffeine and alcohol are both diuretics. They actively pull water out of your system, increase urine output, and leave you more dehydrated than you realize. You might think you're compensating with water, but if you're always drinking it after coffee or alcohol, you're just running a hydration deficit and never truly catching up. Then there's the issue of timing. Drinking water immediately after consuming water-rich fruits like oranges, grapes, or melons can dilute your digestive enzymes and cause bloating. When that happens, your body becomes less efficient at absorbing nutrients, and your hydration effort loses meaningful benefit. Even overhydration, drinking too much water too quickly, can flush out key minerals like sodium, magnesium, and potassium. These minerals are essential for nerve signaling, muscle contractions, and your sexual response system. Once Harold understood this, we made a few simple but targeted adjustments. He spaced out his water intake more intentionally, drank before meals rather than after fruit, cut back slightly on coffee and wine, and added a small pinch of sea salt to his morning glass to support electrolyte retention. Within days, he told me, "Doc, it's like my body finally clicked into place. I feel balanced, like I'm actually working with my body, not against it." Sometimes the solution isn't about doing more. It's about removing the subtle things quietly sabotaging your progress. Once those are cleared away, the benefits of proper hydration begin to compound, almost like a biological switch being flipped inside you. 5. The science-backed benefits of proper hydration for sexual health. One of the most rewarding aspects of my work is watching science confirm what men can feel in their own bodies, that when you give your physiology exactly what it needs, it responds. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, just a return to what was always designed to function. I remember Carl, a 70-year-old man who came to me not because of a specific diagnosis, but because he simply felt like he was fading. He wasn't in pain, he wasn't sick, but there was a slow dimming of his vitality. He told me, "Doc, I feel like I'm just existing." As we talked, it became clear he had written off many of these changes as inevitable aging. His sex life had gone quiet, his focus was slipping, his blood pressure was creeping up, his energy crashed by midday. He chalked all of it up to being in his 70s. But what stood out to me was how little water he drank, not because he refused, but because it simply wasn't a priority. I asked him to commit to proper hydration, not just more water, but better water habits. Small, steady sips throughout the day, room temperature, seated, no chugging, no relying on thirst as a signal. 6 weeks later, Carl was a different man. His erections returned with more strength and reliability. His blood pressure had dropped measurably. His skin looked healthier. He was sharper mentally, more emotionally present. His wife even said one evening, "Are you okay? You seem like yourself again." That moment changed him. It wasn't just about sex. It was about being fully alive. And the science explains exactly why. Proper hydration improves blood viscosity, enabling smoother circulation through the entire vascular system. It supports liver and kidney function, critical for hormonal regulation. A hydrated brain operates with greater clarity. Hydrated muscles contract more effectively. And well-hydrated blood delivers oxygen, nutrients, and testosterone precisely where the body needs them most, especially during intimate moments. Research shows that even a 1 to 2% drop in hydration can negatively affect mood, memory, and cognitive sharpness. But when you're properly hydrated, you feel calmer, more confident, and more connected to your body and to your partner. And when circulation improves, so does erection quality. That's not placebo. That's biology. Carl's story isn't unique. I see this kind of transformation regularly. Once men start treating hydration as a cornerstone of their health, not an afterthought, the results are real and measurable. 6. Why hydration matters more after 60. There's something no one really warns you about when you cross 60. It's not just that your body changes, it's that it stops compensating for your habits. When you were younger, you could skip water, stay up late, eat poorly, and still function the next morning. After 60, that margin for errors considerably, and the cost of those small oversights adds up fast. You start noticing that your energy doesn't bounce back the way it once did. Your focus slips. Your mood dips. And in the bedroom, things start to feel different, slower, weaker, less responsive. One of my patients, Frank, a 67-year-old retired electrician, put it perfectly. He said, "Doc, I feel like someone turned the volume down on my life. I've heard that exact sentiment in different words from hundreds of men over the years. It's not just about erections. It's about presence, about feeling fully alive in your own skin." When Frank and I talked further, we discovered what I see in so many older men. His hydration had quietly declined over the years. Not deliberately, life got busier. He felt less thirsty. Coffee and the occasional beer had replaced water. And gradually, that subtle, chronic dehydration began dragging him down. His blood flow wasn't what it once was. Hormone levels were shifting. His brain felt foggy. And like so many men, he assumed this was simply what aging felt like. But it doesn't have to be. After just a few weeks of consistent, intentional hydration, room temperature water, slow sips throughout the day, no cold chugging, stopping fluids at least an hour before bed, Frank began to feel genuinely different. His mornings became easier. His thinking cleared. He stopped needing long afternoon naps. And yes, his erections returned with more strength and more naturalness. But more than that, his spark came back. His posture changed. He looked me in the eye again. He said, "I didn't realize how far I'd slipped until I came back to myself." This is what consistent hydration can do when your body is no longer 25. After 60, every major system depends more heavily on balance. Your cardiovascular system needs smooth, unobstructed blood flow. Your hormonal regulation becomes more sensitive to disruption. Your kidneys and liver work harder to filter toxins and support metabolism. Without sufficient water and the right hydration routine, those systems quietly lag until one day you wake up wondering where your energy and edge went. Water is no longer optional after 60. It's something you must give your body consistently, intentionally, and with respect. That single shift can change everything. And if you're serious about taking this to the next level, not just with hydration, but with results you can actually feel, there is one more thing you need to know. A simple 7-second habit that works in perfect harmony with proper hydration to unlock real, lasting performance. Let me show you what it is. 7. Combine hydration with this 7-second morning trick. Over the years, I've come to understand that the first few minutes of your morning can shape everything that follows: your energy, your mindset, your body's capacity to perform. Especially after 60, those early moments carry more weight than most people realize. While hydration is the foundation, there is one simple habit I share with patients that amplifies everything else. It only takes 7 seconds, and done consistently, it can reawaken something inside you that may have gone quiet for years. Greg, one of my patients, was 71 when he came to me. He had been following his hydration plan faithfully, room temperature water spaced throughout the day, avoiding dehydration triggers, and it was helping. His energy had picked up. His mood was brighter. But something was still missing. "Doc, I feel good," he said, "but not great, like I'm almost there." That's when I introduced him to the 7-second morning trick. It requires no equipment, no supplements, just your breath and your intention. Here's the technique. A slow, deep inhale through the nose, hold gently for a few seconds, then a calm, controlled exhale through the nose. What this does is stimulate the release of nitric oxide, a natural signaling molecule your body produces that acts like a master switch for blood vessel dilation. It instructs your blood vessels to relax and widen, allowing oxygen-rich blood to flow freely to every part of your body, including the part you're probably thinking about right now. Most men over 60 experience a measurable decline in nitric oxide production. This is one of the primary vascular reasons blood flow weakens with age, even when the heart itself remains relatively strong. My own research into how the body builds and maintains blood vessels confirms just how central this molecule is to sustained circulation and sexual function. But with just a few intentional nasal breaths each morning, right after your first glass of water, you can activate this system and powerfully support your circulation. It's gentle, it's completely natural, and it works with your body's own biology, not against it. Greg was skeptical. "Doc, how is breathing going to fix anything?" I said, "Give it 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, he came in looking lighter, like something had lifted. "Doc," he said, "I don't know how to explain it, but I feel switched back on. My body feels like it remembers how to work again." That's what this is truly about. It's not about turning you into someone you're not. It's about helping your body remember who you've always been. When you pair smart hydration with this 7-second nitric oxide activation, you're sending your biology a clear signal. It's time to perform again, not just sexually, but mentally, emotionally, and energetically. And what I love about this is how completely accessible it is. No pills, no complicated schedules, no prescriptions, just water, breath, and daily intention. Stack those things together consistently, and you begin to rebuild the foundation that was always meant to sustain you. 8. Your daily hydration routine for stronger erections. One of the most common questions I get from men over 60 is this: "Dr. Lai, I understand the concept, just tell me exactly what to do." And I completely understand that. At this stage of life, you don't need vague theory or more confusion. You need something clear, sustainable, and effective. That's why I developed a daily hydration rhythm built not just on science, but on the real-life results of men I've worked with directly. Richard was one of those men. At 66, a retired firefighter, he came to me feeling worn out. Years of physical stress, poor sleep, and irregular habits had taken their toll. His erections were weak, his energy unpredictable, and he didn't feel like himself. He was ready to make a real change, but wanted no pills and no empty promises. I told him, let's rebuild your foundation, starting with water. Here's the routine I gave him. First thing in the morning, before coffee or food, drink 1 full glass of room temperature water slowly while seated. Within 2 hours, drink another glass, this time with a small pinch of sea salt to help your body retain essential minerals. Around lunchtime, sip 1 or 2 more glasses, again seated and unrushed. In the afternoon, add another glass, especially if you've had caffeine or been outside in the heat. Then in the early evening, have 1 final glass, stopping at least an hour before bed to protect your sleep quality. Richard followed it without shortcuts, without rushing, without cold chugging, just mindful, steady hydration every single day. Within 3 weeks, Richard felt more focused. His afternoon crashes disappeared. He slept more deeply, and most importantly, he said, "Dr. Lee, I'm responding again. When the moment is right, my body actually shows up." That kind of progress, real, measurable, meaningful change, starts with giving your body what it has been quietly asking for all along. This routine isn't complicated. It doesn't require obsessive tracking or a gallon jug. It's about rhythm, giving your body water when it needs it most, after rest, during digestion, before physical exertion, and in preparation for recovery. When you follow this rhythm, circulation improves, hormones stabilize, and your erection quality begins to reflect the health you've been working to reclaim. And I want to say something that matters. This is not just about erections. This is about vitality, about walking into each day with clarity, energy, and confidence, about rebuilding your connection to your body, your partner, and yourself. That starts with water. That starts today. Conclusion: stay hydrated, stay strong. Over the decades I've spent studying how the human body heals and listening to men who believe their best years were permanently behind them, one truth has become undeniable to me. When you give your body what it truly needs, it will surprise you. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s walk into my world feeling completely defeated, only to discover that the answer wasn't a prescription. It was a practice. It was water. It was breath. It was daily intention. You've now seen how hydration plays a far deeper role in your sexual health and overall vitality than most people ever discuss. You've learned that blood flow, the very foundation of a strong erection, depends on healthy fluid blood moving through well-functioning vessels. And that blood is over 90% water. We examined how even slight dehydration thickens your blood, strains your cardiovascular system, and reduces the delivery of oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. We uncovered how chronic dehydration suppresses testosterone, raises cortisol, and creates a hormonal environment that leaves men feeling flat, foggy, and disconnected, not just from their partners, but from themselves. You heard Walter's story, a man who thought he was losing his edge, only to find it again when he simply began drinking water with purpose. You learned that most men drink water in ways that prevent proper absorption, rushing it, ignoring it, or underestimating the role of timing. You now understand the hidden habits that quietly cancel out your progress: caffeine, alcohol, poor timing, and the overlooked mineral flush. You've seen how real men, Jim, Carl, Frank, Richard, and Greg, transformed not only their sexual performance, but their confidence, energy, and vitality, simply by learning to hydrate the right way. And with every story, I hope you felt something shift inside you. Not shame, not regret, but possibility. Because here is the truth I want you to carry with you. Your body still wants to function at its best. It may have slowed down. It may be quieter than it once was. But the underlying systems, the vascular network, the hormonal pathways, the cellular machinery are still there. They're waiting for the right conditions to come alive again. Water is part of those conditions. Breathing is part of it. Daily rhythm and intention are part of it. And all of it is within your reach right now. So don't let your age, your doubts, or your past convince you that your best years are over. You have more potential than you currently feel, more strength than you currently see, and more time than you may believe. Every glass of water, every intentional breath, every small decision to care for yourself is a vote for the man you still are and the man you are continuing to become. Start today. Start simply. Reclaim your energy. Reclaim your power. Reclaim your body, one glass at a time. And if you're ready for the next step, if you want to keep building toward a stronger, more vibrant version of yourself, stay with me. There's more science, more strategies, and more truth that most people simply aren't talking about. But for now, remember this: stay hydrated, stay strong.